Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to No Huddle Rodeo, the second edition here of 2026. And we touched on it a little bit last week. Rodeo starts fast. The season starts fast. You have to come out of the gate fast in order to make the National Finals Rodeo in most cases. So, Denver already wrapped up. Our first big rodeo of the year wrapped up over the weekend. 3 semifinal performances Saturday. The finals, the winner-take-all short round on Sunday. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss the first 5 performances of Fort Worth. So like I said, it's on now. There is no more time of seeing what's going to happen, seeing how things shake out. The 2026 Pro Rodeo season is on, and it was on in Denver. So let's start with, of course, Stetson Wright, who wins the bull riding, and wins the bull riding by going 90 points to do it in the finals, which is exactly what we have all come to expect from Stetson Wright. However, this was not a guaranteed wire-to-wire short round championship title for Stetson Wright, because the path to riding Survey Championships Vitalix Ringling Road in that short round was not really what you would expect for Stetson. So he starts off, he is 1 for 2 in his bracket. And that is usually good enough to advance, especially when your one ride, which came in bracket 7 round 2, is 88.5 points. However, Sage Vance, Canyon Bass, Bryce Jensen all go 2 for 2. Bryce Jensen, however, turns out to go to Fort Worth. That gives Stetson Wright the final semifinal spot from that bracket. With that final semifinal spot, Stetson Wright goes on to ride for 83 points on Survey Championships Barfly in the semifinal. And then, like I said, make that 90-point ride in the short round. So you tally it all up, 3 for 4 for Stetson Wright, 83, 90, 88.5 points. Every single qualified ride he made, he won the round on that. 88.5 was good enough to win the second round in Denver. So 3 for 4, 3 go-round wins, over $12,000 for Stetson Wright in Denver. He was also the runner-up in the bronc riding. So exactly what we have come to expect once again for the 10-time world champion. However, in the bull riding, I would be remiss if I did not mention Sage Vance, 88 in that short round. Luke Mackey, 85 in the short round. Both of those guys went 4 for 4. Unfortunately for them, Stetson Wright stepped up, made the big ride when it mattered, but shout out to both of those guys for covering all 4 bulls in their way in Denver. In the other rough stock events, so Stetson Wright, obviously, he's got the 10 world titles, bull riding world championship the last 3 years he's been healthy, etc., etc. We know the story. We know he is incredibly decorated. The other 2 rough stock champions, Cooper Filippic, he was 85.5 points in the bareback riding. The 2025 college champion gets his biggest win as a pro. But he was the last qualifier out of bracket 1. He was the last qualifier out of semifinal 3. And so that's what happens sometimes in these tournament-style rodeos. Cooper Filippic will not be the last person this happens to, whether it's here, whether it's in Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston. All you have to do in those bracket styles rodeos is survive and advance. So even if you're a guy who, like I said, gets the 3rd out of 3 spots in his bracket and gets the 4th out of 4 spots in his semifinal, it does not matter if you show up in the short round and you have the best score, because if you have the best score in the short round, that's all it takes to win. That's all it takes to get that $6,500. He was a half point better than Garrett Shadbolt, then R.C. Landingham, and he did it on the Survey Brothers R. Watson. So a big, big win for the 2025 college champion. The other champion in the rough stock events, the saddle bronc riding, Parker Fleet, 89.5 points in the short round. Similar story. None of his first 3 rides were better than 81.5 points. He advanced 3rd out of his semifinal out of 4. He advanced 3rd out of 3 to even get to the semifinals in bracket 6. But like I said, All that matters is that he was 89.5 points in the short round. And this is a guy who, due to injury, had to take 2025 off to work construction. So how big a deal is it? He's just staying afloat, trying to get enough money to survive, to eat, to get back on the rodeo trail. And he does it. And then right away in January of 2026, he pays it off with 89.5 points to edge out who else but Stetson Wright with 89 points. And just listen to this top five in the bronc riding. Parker Fleet, 89.5. Stetson Wright, 89. Cade Bruno and Ryder Wright, 88. Ryder Sanford, 86.5. And then just for good measure, we'll say Gus Gallagher, the reigning rookie of the year, 85.5 to round out that top six. So what a win for Parker Fleet, a guy who can definitely make the NFR and now has maybe proved to himself that he can make it on the pro rodeo trail, and kind of had it taken away from him for a year. You always see that sometimes leads to positive things. He is back in full force. In the timed events, Dylan Hancock. We earlier in the year in our storylines to watch, which if you haven't checked those out on Instagram, on social, I would encourage you to, because I think they're really good. People seem to like them. Good primers for all things pro rodeo this year. But one of the things was who can step up and take the mantle from, well, first Shad Mayfield to challenge Riley Webb, with Shad Mayfield missing a lot of time due to his hip surgery. So who can be Riley Webb's challenger? And with that, who could maybe be possibly the person to upend Riley Webb and win that gold buckle? Well, Dylan Hancock was one of those guys we highlighted after another terrific year, another national finals rodeos, back-to-back top 10 finishes for this young tie-down roper. And what does he do in Denver? He wins his semifinal with an 8.1 second run. Then in the finals, he is 7-1 to best Riley Webb's 7-7, to best Haven Medjed's 7-8. So I just want to put a pin in this and think about this right now. On a tough indoor setup, on a fast setup, Dylan Hancock, who has won multiple rounds at each of his first two national finals rodeos, Dylan Hancock goes out. He makes the fastest run of the rodeo, and not only that, he is 6/10ths better than Riley Webb, who made a very good run in front of him, 7/10ths better than Haven Medjed. Both of those guys, world champions, NFR average champions. That may matter in Las Vegas, not only for the couple $1,000 that we have no idea about, but the confidence of Dylan Hancock, a guy who has made really fast runs, sub 7-second runs in the Thomas and Mack, to know that when Riley Webb, or Haven Medjed for that matter, puts up a really good time in front of him, maybe at the NFR, maybe at the Thomas and Mack, he can go out and beat that. So we will see if he draws on that experience in Denver. Another great storyline out of Denver, Tanner Tomlinson and Colby Payne. One of these new pairs, Tomlinson roped with Travis Graves last year. Colby Payne roped with Clay Smith for most of the last 2 years. Now, Graves roping with Coleman Proctor, Clay Smith roping with the young gun Nicky Northcott. That left Tomlinson and Payne together, and what do? They match the arena record 3.5 seconds at the National Western. They also won their semifinal with a 4.6. They also made 3 runs of 4.6 seconds or faster in Denver. Furthermore, the last thing I will say, not only do they take home $12,000 in Denver, they were also 3.5 seconds in Odessa at the Sandhill Stock Show and Rodeo. So a new pair, both NFR qualifiers, roping together for the first time in pro rodeo. What have they proven? They've proven they can win a tournament-style rodeo, and they have proven on 2 different fast indoor setups that they can be 3.5 seconds. Really curious to watch this pairing moving forward. Really, really curious. I think they proved a ton already, and I'm going to keep my eye on them throughout the Texas swing, because this is a huge, really fast, just a terrific start between 2 guys who, again, have never quite broken through into world title contention, but have both roped with a lot of other good NFR cowboys, a lot of legendary NFR cowboys, whether it's, again, Clay Smith for Colby Payne, whether it's Travis Graves or Patrick Smith for Tanner Tomlinson. They've roped with a lot of great guys before. They are roping together. They immediately proved something at the National Western. The remaining timed event winners. Mike McGinn in the steer wrestling, 3.6 seconds to edge out Tristan Martin, who is 3.7. McGinn finished number 17 last year. These are the types of wins that you look back on when you're on the bubble that make a big difference. Adding $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 early in the year. Then in the barrel racing, Heidi Gunderson from Murdoch, Minnesota. Got to shout out all of our Minnesotans always in pro rodeo. 14.91. She made the fastest run of the semifinals or finals in the short round. She's also 15.01 to win her semifinal. But another thing I want to point out, 3-time WPRA Futurity World Champion. She could be the one this year that joins the Andrea Busby, Trisha Aldridge, even Jordan Briggs. Even you can throw Cassie Mowry in there. Barrel racers who are Futurity trainers, found a horse for them, decided to hit the road, contended for world titles, won world titles, won average titles, all of those things. And why do I say that? She was riding a horse named Wonder If I'm Lucky. It was Wonder If I'm Lucky's first rodeo. She was raised and trained by Heidi Gunderson. They go to Denver. They get the win. So watch out for her for the rest of the year if she chooses to hit the rodeo road, because she's already got a great horse that she obviously knows very well. She has ridden hundreds of great horses, I'm sure, and now she goes to Denver and gets a big, big win to start her 2026 season. We saw last year with Trisha Aldridge. Her goal was to make the top 40, and her and Adios made $394,000 and finished number 2 in the world and took the National Finals Rodeo by storm. So that is all things Denver, all things National Western. Switching gears now to Fort Worth, where I mentioned we are through 5 performances. There's 7 brackets, so we're only through 2.5 of the brackets, but just wanted to touch on some quick storylines, some things that we have already seen in each event. In the bareback riding, Leighton Berry, Jake Lees, and Orrin Larson, all guys who kind of had your eye on to see what they would do, all looked really good in bracket 1. They were all 1, 2, and 3 in each round. Leighton Berry, 4-time NFR qualifier, coming back from another bad injury, another season-ending injury. So he comes out, he makes over $4,000. Jake Lees just missed out on the NFR last year after making 2 in a row. He goes out. He rides Lunatic Heaven for 89.5 points to win round 2 of bracket 1. Then Orrin Larson, $3,400. He ends up in the wild card. Another guy just missed out on the NFR in this past year. 9 in his career, 9 in a row from 2015 to 2023. So want to see what he can do, what he has left in the tank to get back there. In the steer wrestling, Tanner Bruner, 4-time NFR qualifier, finished number 17 in 2024, 45 in 2025. He made $4,000 in bracket 2 in Fort Worth, looking for his first NFR since 2022. And this is a guy, he was 3-7 on his first run in bracket 2. He also won Fort Worth with that same time in 2024. In the team roping, this one came just last night. So this one came from bracket 3, which will finish up tonight, actually starting up in about an hour here. Nelson Wyatt and Jonathan Torres. 3.3 seconds to set the arena record. You oftentimes see arena records fall by 1/10 of a second. They were 3/10 better than the previous arena record, which was 3.6, that had been set 2 times. They were 3.3, $2,500, typically enough to advance. We will see if they can hold on. Overall, in bracket 3, round 1, 6 times of 4.9 seconds or faster. That would have won 2 of the first 4 rounds. In this round, 4.9 did not even get a check. In the bronze riding, Q Taylor, off of his first NFR, not the NFR he would have won, and finished number 15 in the world, but he was 84 and 88 points. He won $4,000. All 4 of his rides were 81.5 points or better. In the tie-down roping, this goes back to what we talked about with Dylan Hancock. John Douch and Kincaid Henry, both of the guys could challenge Riley Webb, both high on the list. You'd probably include Dylan Hancock, these 2 guys, Ty and Joel Harris. That is my short list of who can challenge Riley Webb for the world title this year? Well, obviously winning Fort Worth for any of those 5 guys would go a long, long way. 2 of them, John Dowdge and Kincaid Henry, have already taken a big step. John Dowdge wins bracket 1. Kincaid Henry wins bracket 2. They both do it with a first and a second place finish in their bracket. So they are both moving on with $4,400. Like I said, a win in Fort Worth could go a long, long way for both of them. $4,400. Pretty good. Not as good as the $5,000 that Emily Beisel and Haley Gibson Stillwell have won in the barrel racing. They are the only ones to sweep a bracket in any event, not just in the barrel racing. Emily Beisel does so in bracket 1 with a 16.47 and a 16.39, the latter of which was the second fastest time of the rodeo. Haley Gibson Stillwell, 16.43 and 16.11. That's 16.11, the fastest time of the rodeo so far in Fort Worth. And 2 cowgirls who kind of like our tie-down ropers. This could be big for them. Winning Fort Worth could be something that we talked about. We highlighted with Emily Beisel where this could be her year. She has been hanging around the top 5, being close to world title contention for really every year since 2019. She has never gotten a huge Texas swing win to add to her early season total. Usually thrives during the summer run. Haley Gibson Stillwell, on the other hand, finished number 12 last year in her first NFR. These are the types of wins that take you from barely making the NFR, doing so on the bubble, to being a consistent NFR qualifier and finishing in the top 10. So we will see how those 2 cowgirls pan out from there. Obviously, really fast runs to start things off. The last thing in our 7th event, in brackets 1, 2, and 3, the bulls have gotten the better of the bull riders. Bracket 1, bull riders were 3 of 16. Bracket 2, they were 1 of 16. Bracket 3 so far, they are 1 for 8. Our most bulls we have ridden in a performance so far was the first performance of the entire rodeo, where we went 2 for 8. So the big beneficiaries, because that means a lot of ground money is in play, Braxton Whitesell, Trey Kimsey, and Strand Smith have been the ones to walk through that open door and take advantage. But we will see if tonight the bull riders can get going, give fans a bit of a better show to be sent off with in a snowy and icy Dickies Arena. So credit to everyone who is still putting on the rodeo, still getting there, still showing up, because I can tell you it has been hard to get around here in Fort Worth, Texas. But we made it to the Fort Worth Stockyards today to put on this show for you. We hope you enjoyed it. We will be back next week as we continue on into the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo and get closer to our first Texas Swing Champions of the Year. Until then, this is No Huddle Rodeo. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, tell your friends, spread the word, and we will see you next week for more No Huddle Rodeo and also more PBR recaps as well. Don't forget recapping every Unleash the Beast event as well. So stay tuned throughout the year for all things rodeo, all things Western sports, all things pro rodeo PBR here on US Cowboy on YouTube. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.